But it's certainly, again, there's no denying that Bitcoin still, to me, has downside. And I would just counter that with, just for people out there thinking about it, there's been a lot of people that have said, oh, the lows are in at 17.5. How does that make sense when this is the first bear market for Bitcoin where the Fed isn't printing money, right? So really, if anything, this should be the worst bear market of Bitcoin's history, because it's the one where the Fed's not quantitative easing, right?
Gareth Soloway, the president and chief market strategist of IntheMoneyStocks.com, is known for his contrarian investment strategy, especially his prediction that we are yet to see the lows in the crypto market. In a recent interview, Soloway backs up his claims with an important detail he believes everyone is missing. That is no other than the fact that the U.S. Federal Reserve isn't printing money, as it has done in all other bear markets since Bitcoin was created. Bitcoin was created in 2008 and launched in 2009 in the thick of the Fed's first quantitative easing. Between December 2008 and March 2010, the Federal Reserve purchased $175 billion worth of agency securities and $1.25 trillion worth of mortgage-backed securities. It also started its reinvestment policy in August 2010. It entails the replacement of maturing securities to maintain the balance sheet at a constant nominal size if there is no key program underway. QE2 started in November 2010 and ended in June 2011, involving the purchases of $600 billion in long-maturity Treasury securities. QE3, the purchases of mortgage-backed securities and long-maturity Treasury securities, lasted from September 2012 to October 2014. The programs helped expand the Fed's balance sheet significantly, taking it from $882 billion in December 2007 to $4.473 trillion in May 2017. Then the pandemic led to another round of QE that saw the Fed's balance sheet grow to $9 trillion, almost 40% of the U.S. GDP. In the fourth quarter of 2007, the Fed's balance sheet was only 6% of the GDP. In his interview, Soloway, a veteran trader and technical analyst, points out that since the Federal Reserve is trying to shed some of the load on its balance sheets, all assets, including Bitcoin, are bound to suffer massive crashes. Soloway also talks about the other crypto assets he is investing in and others that could go burst before the bear market ends. Please watch, like, and share this video as we bring you this important market update from Gareth Soloway. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations below and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks and enjoy the video.
So number one, I don't think we're even close to that at this point, unfortunately, right? So, one of the things you look for, what we saw Terra Luna collapse in crypto. That was a big event, right? So you saw crypto really seeing some of these, but it didn't go to the extent where people started to totally freak out about their crypto holdings. So that tells me crypto still has more downside to go. I think at minimum 12, 13,000 on Bitcoin. I even have a worst case scenario of 3,500, which would mirror the Amazon collapse in the .com era, right? So Amazon dropped 95% from peak to trough in the .com collapse. If you look at like Amazon, what it is today, and ultimately is Bitcoin that type of big entity, then that may be the foreboding for what we could see there. In the stock market, you still have people that are buying the dip. One of the key notes about when a market finally bottoms, it's when everyone's way too scared to buy the dip, right? So we're definitely not close yet. I think just at bare minimum, we have to revisit the pre-COVID highs. So if you go back to February of 2020 in the stock market, that's probably at bare minimum where we have to go. And I think that's just if we don't go into a recession. So just the tightening that's going on, the Fed tightening monetary policy, stopping stimulus, the government obviously not able to print quite as much as they were during COVID. I think that's where you're going. If we enter a recession, that's where you could start to see us go even lower than those levels. So one of the biggest concerns I have is that we're entering this new phase of the market where long-term investors are really going to struggle. If you look at the long-term investor, they've really been in control since really 2009. I mean, every dip's been bought. We've made new all-time high after new all-time high, and there really hasn't been a scenario where we've had a long bear market. However, I think now you're starting to get into that situation because the Fed is going to be handcuffed from printing us out of the next recession in a meaningful way because the inflation is going to stay too high. So let's take a look at some charts here. I want to bring up some charts, show you guys what I got going on here. This is the Bitcoin chart. You can see we're beautifully bouncing off of the 2017 highs. This is the high going back to 2017. We bounced here, 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 and now we're retesting. Bitcoin may see upside to about 23.5, then I think down to 13 to 12. And then if we go to the spiders here, take a look at the spiders.
Flag right there? Is that a
What's
bear
that?
flag? Was that a bear flag on the bitch on the is that a bear flag on the Bitcoin chart?
Yeah, right here or here.
Yeah, right there.
Yep. So that is the only caveat is I feel like you've had bear flag right here and another one here. And so it's almost too easy to think that the bear flag will work out perfectly. So my guess is everyone's expecting us to break lower in Bitcoin. People are kind of feeling like that right now. So my guess is you'll have a little bit of a short-term move up, get a few more people bullish, and then we'll probably retrace to this channel, right? So this was a beautiful channel that price stayed within. It broke, and oftentimes what happens is you go back and retrace to that level, right? So my guess is there's a decent chance we go right back here, then we see the bigger move to the downside on the charts. So yeah, I mean, this is all weird, right? Because the chart, you're right now it's a little bit more bearish, although it is a rounded bottom a little bit, which is not quite as ideal bear flag as this one was over here. But it's certainly, again, there's no denying that Bitcoin still to me has downside. And I would just counter that with, just for people out there thinking about it, there's been a lot of people that have said, oh, the lows are in at 17.5. How does that make sense when this is the first bear market for Bitcoin where the Fed isn't printing money? And then you had QE1, QE2, 2.5, then COVID. And then, I mean, it's been printing and basically down to zero interest rates since that point. This is the first period where really we're seeing that pulling back on monetary policy and tightening. So to me, that tells me that it could be unfortunately worse than past ones. But I do think for Bitcoin's case that wherever it bottoms out, that's going to be an amazing buying opportunity. I don't think Bitcoin's ever going away at this point. I think it's going to be something that we're with us for the long term as the digital gold. And so I'm eagerly awaiting moves down so I can actually accumulate some more Bitcoin.
In his interview, Gareth Soloway also speaks about the other cryptocurrencies he is interested in addition to Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as the percent of his net worth he allocates to cryptocurrencies. Let us know what other cryptocurrencies you think Gareth Soloway is buying. A little hint, they are not all in the top 10 or even top 20 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Please drop your guesses as well as your own preferred crypto assets in the comments section below. Let's get back to Gareth Soloway's clip to see if your guesses were correct.
So right now I have different accounts set up. I have an account just for crypto, account just for stocks. Stocks I'm in and out since I go long and short quite a bit. I'm sometimes full in, then sometimes I'm only 25% in. Right now, crypto wise, about 33% invested in various cryptos. Basically I was looking for the bounce off that level we talked about, which was the 2017 high. So I picked up a little bit of Chainlink, a little Solana, a little Avalanche, just for a quick bounce here, as I do think they'll bounce up. And I think, we could just take a look at like Solana here, but I think it's bouncing up just a little bit here. Yep, just getting a little bit of an uptick here, maybe a small micro bull flag here. So I think, resistance around 35 is probably the extent of what I'm expecting. But I think for the most part, yeah, I have definitely in my mind the idea that once we get into the mid to low teens, that's where I really start to buy up more and more Bitcoin. And then I'll leave myself room in case it gets into like below 10,000. But yeah, definitely proper allocation is important here. When I say load up, I'm not talking about investing all my money, right? It's strictly a percentage of my net worth is allocated towards crypto. And at most I would have that amount in crypto at one time. So for me, I picked up a little bit as just short-term swing trades. The only ones for long-term investments I would go near, for me at least, is Ethereum and Bitcoin. And the thought process is just what you said, is that we don't know what's going to replace which technology, which one, So like if you looked at 2 years ago, if you looked at the top 20 cryptos, a lot of those are no longer in the top 20 and they've fallen down. And now you have like Solana, Avalanche, which weren't in the top 20 a couple years ago. So people have to be really careful. It's okay to take a long shot with a very small amount of money and just roll the dice. But if you're really trying to be an investor, you need to stick with the best of breed in crypto, because I think before the bear market is over, a lot more projects will go bust than what we've seen, even with the Terra Luna and even with Celsius and all these other things. I think a lot more will happen negatively first.
What do you think about Gareth Soloway's interview? Please drop your comments and observations in the comments section below and subscribe to the channel. Also, ensure you hit the like button and turn on post notifications so you never miss any of our regular uploads.